Hey guys, and welcome to another OnShape tutorial. So this one will follow on from the coffee cup tutorial. So just to recap a couple of things, we now know how to make 3D objects in 3 different ways. So the first way is using the extrude tool, where we start with a 2D sketch or profile and then push that into 3 dimensions. The second way is the revolve tool, which is what we use for the main body of this coffee cup, or the liquid reservoir part, where we drew a profile and then revolved it around an axis to create the shape. And then the third way is the sweep tool, which is where we drew a profile and a path for that profile to follow, and that's how we created the handle of our coffee cup. So in this tutorial, I'm going to show you one more way that we can use to create 3D objects, and that's called loft. So what I want you to do is to create a new part studio, and again, to do that you just click the plus down in the bottom left corner and go create part studio. And for this one we're going to be creating a drink bottle, so you can rename it drink bottle and then click enter. Now the loft tool works by creating a series of 2D sketches and then joining them together. So what we need to do is we need to create some additional planes. So we need to create some extra planes other than the 6 starting ones, so that we can draw our profiles and then loft them together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the top plane, and then I'm going to select the plane tool in the ribbon at the top here. When I select the plane tool, it basically creates a plane offset a certain distance parallel to the plane that I've selected. So in this case we're going to offset it 40 millimeters and then click the tick, and you'll see it's created a new plane. And I'm going to repeat this a couple of times. So I'm clicking the top plane again, then the plane button. This time I'm going to offset this one off 200 millimeters. And you'll see there's another plane created at the top here. Now, there is another movement function which I haven't showed you guys yet in OnShape. If you click the mouse wheel and hold it, you can pan around the workspace. So remember, scroll wheel zooms in and out. The right click and hold lets you rotate around in 3-dimensional space, and then clicking in the mouse wheel and moving lets you pan. Okay, we need to create one more plane, so I'm going to select the top plane again, and then I'm going to click the plane tool again, and this one we're going to offset 240 millimeters and click the tick. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to create a hexagonal, drink bottle that's lofted together. And to do that we're going to start on this top plane, click N to normalize, and then create a new sketch as we have been. This time, instead of doing rectangle or circle, we're going to use the polygon tool. So I'm going to start my polygon on the origin point, drag my cursor out horizontally, and making sure that my line is dotted yellow, and then I'm going to click. Once I click, it's going to let me change how many sides my polygon has. So if I move it to the left, I get 3, and if I go to the right, it increases the amount of sides. We're going for a hexagon, so we're going to go with 6 sides and then click. If you have got the wrong amount of sides at the end, you can just double click on this and change it to however many sides you want. The next thing we need to do is dimension our hexagon. So to do that, you can either click the dimension tool here or press D on your keyboard. Click on the inner circle of the polygon and drag out the dimension. In this case, we're going to make our hexagon an 80 millimeter hexagon, and then we're going to finish that sketch. We're not going to worry too much about naming sketches in this instance because we're going to loft them all together anyway. Alright, moving back into the 3D space, I'm going to select the next plane, N to normalize, and start a new sketch. And again, I'm going to create another hexagon. This one I'm going to make slightly larger, so I'll drag it out horizontally again, click, make sure we've got 6 sides, then select the dimension tool and change the dimension of our hexagon to 100 millimeters and finish the sketch. And we're going to repeat this process again. So I'm going to go to the next plane, N to normalize, and then sketch. I'm going to create a hexagon again, so clicking on the origin point, and this one's going to be the same size as the last one, so I'll drag it out, click again to make sure there's 6 sides, dimension tool, drag the dimension tool out, and then change that to 100. And then the last one we're going to do is on the top plane that we created, plane 3, N to normalize, and this one is going to be another hexagon that's the same size as your original one. So start on the origin point, drag out horizontally 6 sides, and dimension it to be 80 millimeters. Great, now we've got everything we need to do a loft. So what I'm going to do is rotate back around into 3-dimensional space so I can see what I'm doing a little bit better. And with larger objects like this is when that pan tool really comes in useful, because you can zoom out and then use the mouse wheel click and hold to move the object into a more favorable position. Now with the loft, we're going to go up here to our 3D tools. So we've got extrude, revolve, sweep, and loft. With loft, basically we want to select the profiles in the order that we want to join them. So I'm going to start at the bottom, click the first profile, then the next one, then this one, and then this one, and then that's it. We're just going to click tick, and it's going to create our 3D object for us. And you can see what it does is it basically joins those profiles and blends them all together so that we have a nice shape. And this is going to form basically the bottom of our water bottle, or the water reservoir part of it. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a circular top on our water bottle for a lid, and also the place that we're going to drink out of, and then we'll hollow the water bottle out. So we're going to click on this top face of the water bottle, press N to normalize it, and then we're going to draw a new sketch. We're going to use the circle tool, starting from the origin point, drag your circle out, and we're going to create a 70 millimeter circle. Press enter. I'll finish that sketch, rotate into 3 dimensions. I'm going to go back up to the extrude tool, and then I'm going to extrude that circle out. In this case, I'm going to extrude at 20 millimeters. Make sure we're adding, so that means we're adding material to the base, and this will stay as one part. And then we're going to click the tick. Okay, and that's basically our water bottle created. The only thing we're going to do is hollow that out, and we'll do that in a minute. What we're going to do before we hollow it out is create a lid for it. And so to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create one more plane. I'm going to click on this top surface here, and then click our plane tool, and we're going to create a plane above that surface 5 millimeters. So I'm going to type 5 in here, and then click tick. Again, I'm just going to highlight, if you make a mistake on any of these steps and you need to go back and change it, say for example that plane you just created was too high, you can just double click on it in the feature tree. It brings the dialog box back up, and you can change it, and then click the tick again. Alright, so to create the lid, we're going to click on this top plane, press N to normalize it, and then we're going to click sketch to start a sketch. This time we're going to draw another circle. So starting in the origin point, drawing your circle out, and our circle is going to be 76 millimeters in diameter, which will mean that it's a 3 millimeter thick lid all the way around. We're going to finish that sketch, and then we're going to go to extrude at the top here, click our circle. Now we want to make sure we've got new, because we're going to create a new part. We want the bottle and the lid to be separate. At the moment you can see that it's extruding up. We don't want that because we want the lid to marry up to the bottom of our water bottle here, sorry, the top of our water bottle. So we need to change the direction. Now there's 2 ways you can do that. You can click this arrow and that will change the direction, or you can click the arrow in the dialog box. The last thing we want to do is we want to make sure that it's extruding 25 millimeters. And you'll see here when I change the direction that it clicked over to add. Make sure that's on new, so that it creates a new part, and you'll see there's a second part down in our parts menu here. And I'll click the tick to create that part. Now what I'm going to do is just quickly rename our parts. So part 1 I'm going to rename as the body of the water bottle, and part 2 I'm going to rename as the lid. Alright, really we've got 2 steps left before we're finished. We want to hollow out the lid and then hollow out the body. So the way that we're going to hollow out the lid so that it fits onto the water bottle properly is by using the Boolean tool at the top. So click Boolean, we're going to do a subtract. For the tools, we're going to subtract the body from the lid. So for tools we select body, for targets we select the lid. Make sure you click keep tools so that it keeps the body, and then click the tick. And now what that's done is hollowed out the lid. We can't see it at the moment, but I'll show you how we will be able to in a second. If you made the mistake with the Boolean of not clicking keep tools, just double click it in the feature tree, and you can go back and edit it so that you can make sure you keep the base of your water bottle. Alright, the last thing we're going to do before we hollow out the water bottle is just go around and fillet some of the edges to make it look a bit neater. So the first thing I'm going to do is fillet all of these top edges, and you can go around and click them all individually, or you can just click on the face and that will fillet them all. I'm just going to go click all the exterior ones here, like so. And I'm going to put maybe like a 3mm fillet on them, just a small one that sort of marries up to the edge of the lid. I'll put one on the top of the lid as well, and then click tick. The last edge I want to fillet is the bottom edge, and I'm going to put a larger fillet on that just to look a bit different. So we'll just click in the center to select all of those edges. I'm going to put a 10mm fillet on it, and then click the tick. Alright, now I'm going to show you how to hollow out the water bottle, and this again is another tool that we haven't used yet. So to do this, what we're going to do is go over to your parts menu, and next to the lid you're going to click the little eyeball symbol, and that will hide our lid. And then up in the ribbon there's a tool called shell. We're going to click shell and then click on the top surface of our water bottle, because that's going to be the open surface. Leave the shell thickness as 2.5mm, that's fine, and then click the tick. And what you can see now is that our water bottle's been completely hollowed out. Okay. Alright, what I'm going to do is show the lid again, and the last thing I'm going to do is make my water bottle transparent, just because it's nice to be able to see the liquid inside of your water bottle. So to do that, you click the body in the parts list, right click and go edit appearance. Choose a color that you want for your water bottle, so I'm just going to select green, and then there's this little slider here that changes the transparency. I'm going to drag that down to about 0.3 and then click the tick. And then the last thing I'm going to do is change the color of my lid. So I right click on the lid and go edit appearance, and I might just make the lid like a bluey color. We'll go with that and click the tick. And that's pretty much it done. If you want to look at your object without having all of the planes, because they don't look particularly great, press P on your keyboard and that will hide them all, and then you can look at your object in all of its glory. So just to quickly recap everything that we've done so far, we now know 4 ways to make 3-dimensional objects. So the first way is an extrude, where we start with a 2-dimensional shape and push it out to be a 3-dimensional shape. The second way is a revolve, where we start with a profile and then revolve that around an axis to create a shape, like we did with the coffee cup body. The third one is a sweep, where we start with a profile and then sweep it along a path, like we did for the coffee cup handle. And then the last one is a loft, where we take a bunch of profiles and join them together. And that's pretty much it for this tutorial.